The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Am I Mental? Live podcast where real people share stories about living life with mental health and how mental health issues impact life. My name is E. Tonight we don't have any co-hosts, but at the very last moment, my personal Jesus Christ showed up. Welcome back, Ivania.
You can call me my savior.
Okay. Yeah, I was sitting here completely alone, just listening to the music and wondering what we're going to do. The guests that I had lined up, turned out I wasn't sure if they were truly going to make it or not because they had some work to do and they were trying to find someone to cover, but we couldn't get another guest, so, tried. And tonight we were supposed to be talking about the semicolon project. Suicide.
Oh, that's one of those.
Yep, I know. And I'm planning on getting one in June to mark the anniversary of when I tried to off myself.
So I considered getting one because, I tried after my divorce.
Yeah.
But I opted instead to get a Phoenix.
I like that. A little too big
and
for
I
me,
have
but I like that.
I have it on my forearm, on my left forearm, so that I can look down at it whenever I'm feeling a little defeated. But I figured, the symbolism behind a phoenix is, rising from the ashes.
Right.
And then after the hell that he put me through, I added to it. And the phrases, rise above and be free, are along the side of it.
Nice. Yeah, I've been trying to get Project Semicolon to get somebody on. They're huge, though. I mean, they're big. If anyone's curious about what that really is, Project Semicolon, we've touched upon it a few times before, but the founder... She came home one day to find, if I remember correctly, her father hanging, and as you could expect, it pretty much destroyed her world. As, come on, you come home and see your one of your parents that committed suicide. No thank you. Ultimately, that's one of the things that got me to not do it myself was the thought of my... at the time, my baby girl, seeing me. And so what she did, she created this foundation where it's for people who attempted suicide and survived. And it's not really the cry for help people. It's the people that seriously tried. But something stopped them. Something prevented it from happening. Mine was a perfectly timed phone call.
Do you want me to go get Scott?
Sure. But, so what the idea is that a semicolon doesn't, it's like when you commit suicide, that's a period or an exclamation point. It's the end of the story. You're done. There's no new chapters. There's no continuation. A semicolon is a pause. And then you continue the story. And that's what their whole thing is about. And, I really like what they do. They do so much. I'm just looking at their website right now. And, they have a stats right off the bat here. 1 billion people with mental illness worldwide. 56% rise in teenage suicides from 2018 to 2020. 1.1 million die by suicide annually worldwide. And that's a lot of lives lost to suicide. A lot of lives lost to people who don't see a way out. And the whole thing is that people get these tattoos with the whole idea being that if other people see it, like for me, I see someone that has one, and I know I'm not alone. I know what it means. I know what they've been through. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Another day in paradise, man. How you been?
Pretty good. We were talking about Project Semicolon and the semicolon tattoos and what they represent, and
yes,
and how, like, for me, what stopped me from plunging the knife deeper into my wrist was a perfectly timed phone call by the only person on the planet I would have answered the call. Everybody else, I would have just looked at the caller ID and said tough and would have plunged deeper. What was yours?
Say that again. Sorry, there was a little echo because me and Arlie are walking next to each other.
No worries. And hey, no name drops, dude.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying that for me, the moment that really that saved my life, that one thing that came in the way of me plunging my knife deeper into my wrist was a phone call from the only person on the face of the planet who I would have stopped to answer. Everybody else, I would have just looked at the caller ID and kept plunging the knife deeper. Even if it was my sister, my mother, it wouldn't have stopped me. What was yours? I think you're frozen.
Overdose in 2016. Took 10 trazodone and 5 whiskeys. And I was already coming down to this moment.
Hey, Scott,
Really
you're breaking up really, really bad.
hold back, not make search for I got money from my house. Actually,
You might need to repeat that because you were breaking up really bad.
okay. All right, I have a suicide attempt from 2016. I took 10 trazodones and drank 5 whiskeys. I was already pretty much already thinking about this for at least 6 or 7 months, and actually how I'm going to do this. I've been diagnosed with suicidal idealization, so it was always just in my mind, and I never could get rid of it. So the night that I just made the choice, and that I'm not gonna go to Facebook. I'm not gonna say like any kind of like goodbye, reaching out for help, because that's all what wimps do. And I just stayed on YouTube, waited for everything to kind of kick in, and as soon as and for some reason I had my GoPro recording for some reason, so who knows. But I knew, okay, well, like I knew when everything kicked in, I was already on my 5th whiskey, and this is it. I'm like, and then for some reason, didn't even dawn on me. I just went to Facebook and I wrote "see you," and within 2 minutes, my best friend for 30 years, he called me right like immediately, because he knows what I'm going through. He knows that I'm trying to do something pretty kind of impossible, trying to get a job in IT with a felony, and even with experience. So he's like, okay, what did you do? Because as soon as I picked up the phone and said one sentence to him, he knew something was up. He knew I was
you were probably slurring like crazy.
Oh yeah, I was so far gone. So, okay, what did you do? What did you take? I'm like, this is also my best friend for 30 years. Blood couldn't make us any closer. So, there's no possible way, even if I'm fucked up or sober, that I can ever lie to him. So, told him exactly what he did. He asked for my address. He called 911 from Florida. This is happening in Denver when I was living there.
So,
he stayed on the phone with
almost 3,000 miles away, he was saving your life.
Yeah, 2,000 miles away, he was saving my life. And then, he stayed on the phone with me until the ambulance got there, and I entered the door with a drink in my hand, of course, so why not? And, it was like only, maybe a mile and a half trip to the hospital. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was released 3 o'clock the next afternoon. So they pretty much they just drained my, I guess they just kind of gave me IV and gave me fluids, and I went to bed there because I had no control over my body functions, and couldn't keep water down the next day because my kidneys were shot. And
I wouldn't be surprised if they used activated charcoal.
Yeah. And I was really surprised. Something that they've never heard of here in the West Coast in Colorado is something they always talk about in Florida is called Becker Act. and it's like a 72-hour, like any kind of like thought of like mental illness that you're gonna hurt yourself or anybody else, automatic 72-hour hold. They barely held me for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like not even 12 hours.
Here in California.
Yeah, so
here in California, it's at their discretion if they're going to hold you for the 72 hours or not. More often than not, they will. I was almost held for 72 hours. They actually held me for, it was like 16 hours. And they were like, you're high functioning, having a bad day. I think that you saw that there's a, you know, because when I was in the 5150 tank, I was surrounded by people that were, I was like, yeah, I'm having a bad day. These guys are truly needing help. It really was a wake-up call for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was only given a hold one time, and that's when I self-admitted myself. Because I was already went to cutting, but that was when I was still in Florida. But yeah, the day that I got out of the hospital, you know, my room, I had 3 roommates. One was the landlord. One, the other person literally worked at the seminary. No, the Catholic school, like Catholic church school. Not one of my 3 roommates gave one shit about what happened.
Wow.
Now, didn't want to sit me down, didn't want to talk to me, just alienated me. My best friend, which I still talk to her to this day, she's still my best friend. I had at least 35 missed calls and like 40 voicemails from her. She's like, I'm not going to stop calling you until I know that you're okay until you call me back. So as soon as I got my phone back, called her back, let her know what was going on. And then, so I was like, I can't keep water down. I can't do anything. So I need to just get some kind of rest in my own bed. So I took a nap and then I woke up and you say, come over. You're saying that at my house, you're not going to be left alone by tonight. Cause I already told her, like my 3 roommates didn't give a shit. And I was already like pretty much by myself already. And she said, I'm like, I'm not having that. So you're going to come over here. We're going to fucking talk. And we didn't talk once I got there. I mean, we've already been friends like for a few years. So we're actually really good friends. And we just did what we usually do. We got some food, we smoked some pot, we just play with the dog and just talk and BS like we always did. And it just, even though we didn't talk about anything that was going through my head, it really helped that I do have something to kind of live for. I do have like friends that actually do care about me, even though my even family members didn't really give a shit. So that kept me going to get me where I am now. Because I mean, there's no way of knowing that I would eventually leave Denver, come to the Springs, and actually have a couple like really good jobs with like United Airlines, Domino's Corporate, Microsoft Government, and now I'm with Cigna Healthcare. So yeah, I mean, you don't see the big picture yet because of course you have your mind is all just clouded with just all the bunch of crap that you're feeding yourself, and you believe it. It's like that was one of my biggest problems. I'll create all this resentment in my own head and then start believing it, and that would, of course, every action has an instant reaction. That would affect my mood, affect how I treat people and how much I hate people, and all of it just in my head because my depression is your worst enemy because you can be your own worst enemy, worst enemy because you have no idea how strong your brain is when you start believing all the like bone-faced lies that you've been telling yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I mean, I'm kind of going back and I'm like reliving mine right now. So I'm a little out there a little. I just reached out to somebody that I haven't talked to in, 11 years.
Wow.
My attempt was in 2006. And, all I did is I wrote a note, a goodbye note, and I taped it to the back door of my closet, knowing that, when there's a suicide, they go looking for a note. They'll find it. I didn't want to make it too obvious, but I didn't want it, it wasn't a cry for help. I was done. I was on MySpace because that was the thing back then. But yeah, I left no message at all to anybody. It was just that goodbye note, and I got into a tub of hot water with a knife, and it was as hot as I could handle. And I kept heating it up while I was in there. And even though I was dead set I was going to do it, it still wasn't easy. Trying to get that knife to go in. One, I'm a wuss for pain, so that was not fun.
Yeah.
But no, I started pushing in and pushing in and pushing in, and it just slowly started, I broke the layers of skin, and then I started to bleed. And then the phone went off, and I was getting pretty close to the artery at that point. And it was who is now my ex-wife. And it was the only reason I answered it was to tell her, hey, don't bring over the kids. It's going to be a lot of blood. If you're coming over, come over alone. Don't bring the kids. Well, she freaked out. And I heard in the background my baby girl say, are we going to go see Daddy? And I lost my nerve.
Oh, yeah.
I dropped the knife instantly into the water. I hung up the phone. I got out of the water and I called 911 on myself. Because I was like, I need help. This isn't right.
Yeah.
You aren't meant to take your own life. I mean, at a most basic level, if you put, like, say, a plastic bag over your own head and taped it, at the last moment before you lose consciousness, you will claw the bag free of your face.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help it. It is.
Yeah, it's a basic instinct for survival. Yeah,
exactly. Which is why overpowering that's pretty hard to do. Taking some pills and drinking probably would have been the better way for me to have done it if I was going to do it, because it's easier to get over the baser, the survival instinct. But when you're trying to push a knife into your own arm, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Well,
So when we talked briefly about my first attempt on my first time with you guys.
Yeah.
After my daughter. But the second time I had planned, it was Christmas time, shortly after my ex walked out on us. My son was living in a town about 20 minutes from me. And my daughter, I sent her to stay for a week with her grandmother in Las Vegas. And me being me, I cleaned my entire house, made sure everything was clean, because I didn't want anybody coming in thinking I was a slob, because, that's me. And then I had a bunch of Christmas presents for people, and I went around and I delivered all of these Christmas presents to everybody. The last person I delivered to was my daughter's cheer coach, and I met her at Starbucks, and I gave her her gift, and it was just a little Christmas ornament, and it said cheer coach on it. It was really cute, just like a cute little $5-10 trinket. That meant a lot to her, but I had planned after I finished with her to go home.
This is the same cheer coach that came on my podcast in season 2?
Yes.
I love her.
She's amazing. But my plan was to finish up with her, go home, climb into my bathtub, and shoot myself in the chest. Because I didn't want to make a mess. But while I sat there with her and we were talking and I was telling her what was going on and how upset I was and how sad I was, we just sat there and we talked, and because my life was over at that point. I had only known being a mom and being a wife. And my daughter was about to graduate. My son was out of the house. My marriage was over. And my kids were about to be gone. So I didn't feel like I had anything else. And she had no idea what my plan was. And while we sat there and talked, I don't remember what it was that she said to me. It could have been a number of things, but she made me realize that I did have value outside of those two things. So I did not go home and do that.
Right.
But that's what stopped me that time. But neither time did I leave a note.
And also, considering what she became viral over, it fits.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really fits.
And she didn't know for years after what had stopped. I think I posted something on Facebook, and, it was a suicide awareness kind of thing. And I told my story there, and I tagged her. And that's when she found out, and she said she just started crying. Oh, look, there's your Aubrey. There's mine.
Yeah, my two youngest reasons for living just came into the office. Mama's not home yet from work, so yeah. Hey. So yeah, I'm gonna have to curb my language a little bit here now and be a little more circumspect with what I say, because yeah. Actually, what's kind of funny is that I actually talked to my Aubrey. You know, she's 7. A little bit about what the semicolon tattoo means, because tonight's guest that was supposed to come on, but again, it was kind of a Hail Mary. We'll reschedule, you know. So if you're listening right now and you're like, damn it, I didn't make the episode, we'll reschedule. Life happens. We get it. Another reason why I can't wait to be done with Thursdays for this podcast. Scheduling is a nightmare. But yeah. No, so what I was saying is that, you know how I hung up the phone and called 911 on myself. My ex-wife turned around and called a friend of mine that I've been friends with longer than I knew my ex-wife, who lived like 2 blocks away from me, maybe a block and a half. Oh, go back. I'm doing my podcast. You guys gotta go. What? I'm getting scared. Then bring tablets in here. Anyway, so she called that friend, and that friend actually beat the police over. And, you know, they dispatched the sheriff to my place. They didn't want to, they weren't messing around with, you know, do we want to call, you know, which police officer, you know, like which officer do we need to send there? No, the sheriff's. That's countywide sheriffs. They got there right away, too. And I had put my underwear and shorts back on because I was naked in the tub. And the police, they cuffed me, and they were getting ready to take me out to the cruiser, and I asked, can I please put a shirt on? Can I have at least a little bit of dignity? That way I don't look like complete white trash being taken out to the police cruiser. You know, it's bad enough that I'm being cuffed and taken to a cruiser. And they're like, you know what? Like, you know, after they made sure they knew where the knife was, and they knew that I was disarmed, and I was wearing just shorts and that's it, you know, underwear and shorts.
Yeah.
Not like I could hide a weapon that easily.
Yeah, right.
But again, it's for their own safety as well. And so they're like, yeah, they uncuffed me, let me put a shirt on, put me in the back of the cruiser, took me to the now no longer existing 5150 tank for the county. And this was a full moon night, which I didn't know at the time, because like I had too much other stuff going on. And yeah, I had people coming up to me talking about the lizard people. Like, literally, seriously talking about lizard people and how they're infiltrating government. And there was a person that was sitting there yelling at his AOL free sample CD. I really got to see that, yeah, you know what? I may be having a bad day. These people need help. But I wound up sitting there for hours and hours. And then I finally got to go see a doctor, and they let me know. It's like, you know, we legally can hold you for 72 hours. When you're brought in by police, we have that power. And they're like, if we were to let you go, what would you do? I was like, well, tomorrow I have an appointment with my therapist, and I have private insurance. I want to get a referral to a psych ward, you know, a private hospital. And like, okay, then I need you to promise me that you will do this tomorrow. And I promised. Apparently promises make a big difference to some people. Where I was, it was worthless. I was just whatever words it took to get out of there.
Yeah.
My plan was to go home and finish the job. Then I got home. And, I moved from San Diego in April. Beginning of April. April 1st was the day I got to where I'm at now. And I unpacked all the boxes into my apartment, but I didn't really unpack anything. And I sat there, damn near squalor, into July. I came home and my whole place was unpacked and put together, and all the furniture was set up, everything was put away, cleaned. That friend that I messaged that I haven't talked to in 11 years because we had a falling out, she got her girlfriend to come over and another friend to come over, and they gave me a place to come home that looked like a home, that felt like a home. And I just collapsed sobbing. And then I decided that I was going to take that promise seriously. The next day I went to my therapist and I said, hey, I've looked around and I want to go to, hospital XYZ. I know I can just walk in, but it might be better if I get a referral so that way they know I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went ahead and arranged it, and then the next day after that, I was a 72-hour guest there, and then I wound up doing partial inpatient for like 2 or 3 months. I was there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah. And it wasn't until recently that I finally stopped being suicidal. Right before this podcast launched, I stopped being suicidal persistently. Now I haven't been suicidal. I haven't had a single suicidal urge in a year.
Yeah, good for you, man.
That's amazing.
Good for you.
It's so alien to me. It is so alien.
Yeah.
I've been having suicidal urges since I was in 2nd grade. So I look at my 7-year-old who is in 2nd grade and think, damn, that was young.
Yeah.
So yeah, I make sure that I don't take for granted that they're young, because I was really young when I started struggling.
Yeah.
Which you may hear them in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a little bit to I was just I was still on autopilot even after my attempt, and all the times I called myself out and checked myself in. I was still pretty much just on autopilot, because I kind of thought, like, if I get myself all the way down, like, if I somehow survive this, that'd be kind of like a reset, then good things will happen, and then, I'm finally past that rut. Like, because my felony it still kind of haunts me here and there, and I had to wait, it was about 10 years after the felony for it to actually stop being a big deal. When companies actually start thinking, okay, we're not worried about that. It's long enough. It's nothing to do with theft, nothing to do with violence and all that. But I mean, there were so many interviews where I got told to my face, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't hire your kind." And like, I get offered the job, pass the freaking drug test. Oh, we changed our minds. You're disqualified because of the nature of the charge. Nothing to do with the felony. Having a felony, it's just the charge itself. I mean, it's a possession charge. I mean, it's worse things have happened.
Yeah,
and
possession is not exactly a end of the world.
Yeah, it's a victimless crime.
Yep.
And plus 10 years old at that point. And yeah, it was just like, I actually got hung up on like mid conversation on a phone interview, because I was trying to like explain the story. I'm like, yeah, it was a long time ago. I wasn't, an innocent bystander. I was definitely guilty by association. So, I mean, I was a drug addict. Got past it, moved out of the crappy city, got my education, started working in my field immediately. I have experience. I'm good at what I do. I mean, the fact that I have a resume proves I'm not that person anymore. And
right.
I've served my country in 2 different branches, Marines and Army. So I had this, got to a point where a college educated military veteran can't get a job because of a nonviolent felony. And there was like so many just being disqualified. Like, no, I'm more of like I need like hard data. So I started keeping track. So I actually had 6 interviews in 1 week, 1 a day, 2 on Friday. Like, well, Corey, process of elimination. I had to get a job by accident with 6 interviews. All 6 automatically disqualified. I'm like, well, okay, well, that's when I started keeping track. And I said, if I get to 75 interviews that are just because of my felony, then I'm going to stop applying. And I just left it kind of like an open statement like that to myself. And yeah, I did not expect to get to 75. And by the time I was already in the 70s, I was already pretty much there. I'm like, it's not like I was trying to kill myself, but I mean, if I see something that could kill myself, I probably wouldn't avoid it. Like, I was starting to like go out of my way to look for like parking garages or bridges, and I'm like, okay, well, that might be a fun spot. Oh, that may be a fun spot. I was already planning how I was going to do it. I wasn't going to do a suicide note because I mean, yeah, I just wasn't, and I was already with all that disqualifications and all that, and like got to the point where I hated people, and I hated society because it was just there's like a non-tangible kind of like cancel culture where I was pretty much just canceled for something that was like, yeah, it was a mistake. I broke the law. I paid the consequence. I went to jail. Whatever. Let's move things along. I mean,
yeah. I mean, how can you talk about rehabilitation and giving people chances if you're unable to give that person a chance and let them show that they've rehabilitated?
Exactly. And I've told so many interviewers, I'm like, okay, you have nothing to lose. Give me a chance. Put me on like 60 days probation, where if I make a little mistake, then I'm fired. No, like you have nothing to lose, and it's all on me.
Right. It's like what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
You have to go back and interview again and get somebody else. So
yeah.
So what?
Yeah, and some of these positions where I was actually overqualified for, and there was actually a few times where I went in for like a tier 1 or tier 2 position and say, oh, you have this experience? Are you done this already? Oh, okay, well, we actually have a tier 3 position that's usually in our Chicago office, but I just got clearance to get it moved down to the Denver office. I'm like, oh, sweet. So did both interviews. They loved me. And I was actually trying to plan out when to bring up the felony in the interview process, at the very beginning or the very, very end, once I know, like, okay, this is a good fit, now I'll bring it up. And I try to always bring it up so it shows that, I have integrity, I'm upfront, I'm not trying to hide anything.
Yeah, you're not trying to slip it under the radar. You're like, look, this is something I did. I own this.
Yeah, and of course, I would ask, okay, how far do you go back in your background checks? Okay, we only do the 7 years, okay, like you're supposed to do. Okay, so I should be fine. I just have something from 10 years ago. Okay, then that shouldn't be an issue. Well, you're disqualified because of the nature of the charge. Because in Colorado, there's a lot of laws that protect employers and not employees. And it's a right to work state. They don't need a reason to hire you. They don't need a reason to fire you.
Yeah, and a lot of people complain about right to work. Yeah, California is also a right to work.
Yeah.
They could fire you with or without reason, with or without cause, with or without notice, and you can do the same.
Yeah. But I kind of get it, like to kind of like narrow down the interview prospects. Okay, the first thing, okay, anybody have a felony? Okay, if you have a felony, you're out. I guess to make their job easier, but I always got excluded from every single opportunity, and my degrees are in networking and IT security, and I'll never get a job in cybersecurity because I can't get in the door with a felony. And even it being in the Springs, with 5 military bases, there's not one IT job that does not require a top secret. And I used to have one. And they're like, I actually got called by Lockheed twice for an IT position because they saw my military service and they saw my profile in USA Jobs. And okay, the first question I have to ask was, I know because it's a federal job. It's like, okay, does this require top secret clearance? I'm like, yes, it does. I'm like, then I can't I don't qualify because you have to have a squeaky clean record, and it's right. I think it's like roughly like $80,000 to get your clearance.
Whew!
Because how far they have to go back, and because I was actually part of somebody's top secret clearance. It went back like a friend. Really get you get interviewed, and they have to show you the badge, and they really go in depth to make sure they're giving the right person the right clearance and the right access. Of course, because one thing that I was told in an interview, one of my very first interviews, that being in IT, that we have all the keys to the castle. So there has to be like automatically we have to know that we can trust you and blah blah. And which I totally get if I was like my charges were like theft or grand larceny or arson or something violent or that caused money. I had a drug problem. Whatever. So yeah, I was constantly. Yeah, it was not a fun experience going through all that. I went through at least 200 plus interviews in 3 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, so
and that's pretty close to an accurate number. Pretty close.
That is insane. That is so many. And again, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't logically be for rehabilitation and against hiring people that are trying to show that they've been rehabilitated. You just it's like being a vegan that eats meat. It's not possible.
Yeah, no, it isn't. I mean, I keep on seeing stories about like, I did 10 years in prison and I rebuilt myself. Like I went to county. I did 6 months in county and I couldn't get a job. And I do kind of regret that. I wish I changed fields because I'm already burnt out at it right now because I've been doing it 10 years. And I'm still kind of in that like phone support, customer service kind of deal. And I'm just really over talking to people.
I've made a career out of talking to people, and now I'm doing it as a hobby, as a podcast. So,
yeah, I mean, I wish I didn't waste so much time like trying to just get my foot in the door in IT. I wish I just would have walked away. And now I'm learning real estate and how to do like wholesaling and really learning a lot. And I could actually do it like on my own without a license and some of it with no real money into it. Maybe like earnest money to actually just lock down the sale. Because all I'm really doing is finding a house off market, like maybe like a tired landlord or like a probate house, and give them a quote unquote cash offer, meaning I'm not using conventional loan. Get them under contract, and then all I do is sign that right over to that contract to an investor or a flipper. So I do all the legwork, and I say, okay, well, you have like these 3 or 4 comps, comparable other houses that they sold in this exact area for this much amount, and
right.
Okay, here's my cash offer to the seller, and then I go to the flipper. Okay, here's my offer price, and then they go from there, and then I get a wholesale fee.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm just learning the process of like skip tracing because I mean it's a lot to kind of learn, and it's like the whole process because you don't want to get stuck with a property that you can't afford, and so it's just trying to really like cross my I's and dot my T's, and so.
I love it when that way instead of cross,
Yeah, I do that way for a reason.
Yeah, it's funny.
Make sure people are paying attention.
It's kind of like one of my friends that Bo's in the chat right now. He's actually coming out to visit me. Okay, well he's actually coming out for work, but he's coming out to visit me. So, he doesn't have to travel, and he chose to travel this way.
What the hell, dude? I thought I was your only friend.
I'm in high demand.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get off this call now. Goodbye.
Aww. Damn it. Damn it! She's muting. She's lying.
Beg me. Beg!
You know what happens when I get ultimatums? I do the opposite.
Okay, yeah. How's that worked out for me and you so far?
We're still friends. But no, my friend Dave, or our friend Dave, Bo, my friend Dave, he loves doing the 1 makes a point, 2 makes a point, C makes a point. Or he'll do A, make a point, B, make a point, 3, make a point. It's a test. Are you paying attention?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, and now he's leaving. Bo's like, I'm back. Just got an invite to hang out with a buddy. Got to catch the rerun later tonight. I see how it is. First of all, you threatened to leave me, and now Bo's leaving me. I see how it is.
Told you I'm your only friend.
Ooh. Shots fired! Love you, Bo. I can't wait to see you, and I know that we're going to talk, quite a bit between now and then anyway. Man.
You actually gonna come to these parts?
Me?
Yeah.
Eventually, I plan on it. There's a few things that have to happen first, but I plan on it.
Okay.
One of the first trips I plan on making is to come out to the Springs.
Nice.
It'll be my first trip to Colorado.
Oh, shit. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I've been out here 9 years already, man. 9 years.
I've been where I'm at now since 2006.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
Second longest
About when I moved here.
Yep. Second longest time I've ever stayed in the same space. Or same, geographic vicinity. Like, I've been to California my whole life. My first 23 years was in Mount Shasta. Then I went to San Diego, and now I'm here in the Sacramento area.
Nice. Yeah, that's Florida for me. I spent 25 years there.
Nice.
and then 9 years in New York.
I visited New York for a week, and that was plenty for my lifetime.
Yeah, it's a little bit different in New York.
It is
a little bit different.
I mean, I was out in Ronkonkoma, and I was doing a contract over in Mineola. But I did get to do. I got one day where I went into Lower Manhattan, and I got on the red bus, double-decker bus, went on the top deck, and did the Lower Manhattan tour. Got to see all the sites. This was when it was still known as Ground Zero, as opposed to the World Trade Center or the new tower, the Freedom Tower, or Freedom Spire. Yeah, it was just Ground Zero. But yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast, and I don't need to go back.
I wouldn't mind going back to the city. I mean, because there's nothing like the city.
Yeah, no, that's the part I'd rather avoid. I like the rest of New York. Like I got to see the Amityville Horror House.
Look at this, you guys. Look.
Hell yeah.
Aw.
He's in the garage.
Did you check it?
Your dogs were hanging out by the garage door waiting for you.
Yep.
They're crying. Like somebody chopped off their feet.
Only because they can't see Dad.
Yes.
Did you check out Ellis Island while you were there?
No, I didn't get a chance to do that. If I were to go back, there are a few sites I would like to see. Like I wanted to go to the top of the Empire State Building because I took a train to Penn Street Station.
There you go.
So you pop out and boom, there's the Empire State Building right there. Madison Square Garden is right there. There's all some of the most famous places are just like right there. It's like holy shit, this is kind of amazing. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and see how long it's going to take to get to the top of Empire State Building. 6-hour wait. Oh, hell no. I don't have 6 hours. I'm going to go tour.
Fuck that noise.
I was like, it was like either I could go up to the top of the Empire State Building or I could go sightseeing. I chose sightseeing.
Yeah.
It's
actually kind of cool. 12-hour layover in New York City. So I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to the Statue of Liberty. I'm going to go to Ellis Island. I'm going to do all the things. Well, I ended up missing my tour for the Empire State Building. I missed the time because my taxi took forever to get there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do the tourist thing. I'm going to go check out the things. But my very first goal was to find a hole-in-the-wall pizza joint. I wasn't doing anything until I got me some pizza in New York.
I actually had, when I was at that hospital in Mineola helping to work there, the managers there decided, because it was my first time in New York, that they were going to get the best pie in New York. And, so I was like, cool, this is what the locals eat.
Yeah.
What'd you think of yours?
Oh, I loved it.
I hated it.
I loved it. I had the napkin. I was blotting off the grease. It was amazing.
I thought mine was disgusting.
There's nothing like a fucking slice in New York.
Yeah, it was gross. I'll never do it again.
It was amazing.
I'm sorry.
And you had the wrong taste buds.
No, I prefer my Chicago-style pizza. I prefer my California pizza. I prefer Round Table. I prefer my Mountain Mike's. The New York pizza. Maybe it was just maybe what they thought was good was just not good for me. Maybe I need to go find a hole in the wall in like Little Italy.
Yeah. I found it in Lower Manhattan, but I found it. I sat down. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved every second of it. And then I took like a boat tour and I got to see all the bridges and we rode by the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, but I didn't get to go into them. But it was a fun little layover.
Sorry, babe. Go ahead.
My mom was throwing a fit because I was wandering around New York City by myself. And I'm like, what's going to happen? She's like, a lot.
Okay.
The one thing I did not do was ride the subway.
I did not ride the subway, but I rode the train.
Yeah. You got to ride the fucking subway, man. It's a part of the experience. Part of the fucking city. No, there's actually a really cheap way to do this. The Statue of Liberty. Instead of doing the tour, quote unquote, take the ferry.
That's what I've heard.
There's so many best kept secrets that only New Yorkers know. Like, I think it's like the very last stop, I think, on the L train. If you just stay on the train and it does a loop around, you'll see old Grand Central Station where it goes up to the Waldorf.
Oh, see, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of tour I would like to do if I ever go back.
There's a YouTube channel that they actually did it, and they stay in the train. It's all like cobwebs and dust, and you can tell it hasn't been touched in like 80 years, and like because New York is like really, really historic.
It is. It's like okay, so I've lived in California my whole life. You go to San Francisco. San Francisco is one of the oldest cities in California and has some of the greatest architecture for California. Took a trip to New York, and it made San Francisco feel new. So I can only imagine what going to Europe would feel like.
Yeah, right. That's something I definitely want to do. I have to make a trip over to the fucking pond.
Same. I have to. I want to do that. I know it's so cliche, but I really do want to do a roots tour. Go to the places of my heritage.
There you go. Hell yeah. No,
I went to the Republic of Georgia, and that was pretty amazing getting to go. I went to a 15th century monastery, and I tripped, scraped up my hands, and started cussing, literally in front of God and everybody. It's pretty humiliating.
But it's a feather in your cap. I want to see that clock that's in Prague.
Ah, yes.
My daughter has pictures of it. Do you want me to have her send them to you?
I've seen pictures. I've seen videos. I want to see. But yeah, I'm happy to see. I'll love to see more.
She spent a summer there between her junior and senior year of college. That was when she got all upset that she had to get a real job after graduation.
Huh? Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
She probably thought she was going to be like a traveler.
I don't have any Czech heritage, but I mean, come on, Prague's freaking gorgeous.
I mean, it's Prague.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story about her getting upset about having to get a real job?
Yes. I don't remember all the details, but yes.
So she graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology. And she spent the summer between her junior and senior years in Prague, studying abroad. So I asked her, are you going to go for your master's? No. Do you have any internships lined up? No. Do you have a job lined up? No. What are you going to do? Oh, I think I'm just going to take like a year off and travel. I said, with what money? She goes, I'm going to keep my part-time job.
Okay, well, how are you going to?
I said, how are you going to pay your rent? She goes, my 529 pays for my rent. I said, only while you're in school. She said, oh, then I'll move in with my boyfriend. I said, okay, well, how are you going to pay your car payment? With my job. I said, okay, how are you going to pay your car insurance? My dad pays my car insurance. Only while you're in school. How are you going to pay your cell phone? My dad pays my cell phone. Only while you're in school. She said, oh, well, you send me 10% of your pay. That should cover it. I said, you only get 10% of my pay while you're in school. And she got real quiet. She goes, wait, are you telling me I have to get a real job after graduation? She goes, I want to travel. I said, cool. She goes, what are you going to do with that 10%? You've been giving it to me this whole time. What are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to fucking travel.
I'm going to throw it right back in your face.
Yeah. Apparently, we had to get approval from her to go to LA for a football game. We didn't know. She had no idea that we left town until like the day after we flew in. So yeah, we just got to the hotel in LA. Like, what are you guys doing in LA? Like, oh, you didn't have my permission to leave.
You're not my ward.
The kid lives 4 hours away. I don't know why I have to check in with her.
It's like, look, you just live far enough away. I can't even have you check in on my pets, okay? Man, my phone just keeps blowing up with these random text messages from politicians.
Same.
And I keep responding back to them going, thanks for telling me who to vote against. Because you send me unsolicited messages, you're not getting my vote. One person did respond saying, I'm sorry that this happened to you. If you would like to stop receiving these messages, here's how you get yourself removed from the list so you'll never get it from anybody else again. And I went, now I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. You addressed a concern that you didn't have to do. Now I'm listening.
Yeah, did you see how I voted last time?
How?
It was really, really obvious who I voted for. I made it really obvious.
Yeah. But no,
I have to send you. I'll send you the picture of how I walked into the ballot.
I gotta see this.
It's pretty freaking classic, dude.
Yeah, but at this point, it's like, Tuesday's the election.
Mm-hmm.
It all ends after Tuesday. No more unsolicited text messages. No more flyers. I have so many mailers that I could probably, I don't know, just the amount of the heat of the fire that would come from them. Just saying. I might singe the neighbor's house. There's so many of them. And paper burns hot as hell. As an example, let's have a little fun here. The Twin Towers. You know how they say jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. That's true. It doesn't get hot enough. You know what does get hot enough? Paper. And what were those buildings filled with? Paper. Paper burns hot as hell. And people don't realize how hot paper actually gets. So like those hoarders that have stacks of newspapers everywhere and magazines and stuff, man, you get that on fire, it's going to be hard putting that out. But seriously, so just so everybody understands how quick this episode is pulled together. I'm sitting here, I'm listening to the 5-minute pre-show song, for the lobby. And I'm looking through statistics thinking, do I even want to continue doing this podcast? And I do. I looked at a year ago for 30-day window versus today 30-day window. And our listenership in a 1-year period grew over 30%. So, yeah, I definitely want to keep it going. But I was sitting there considering that, and all of a sudden the phone rings. I'm like, okay, well, I still have like a minute to go before I have to launch. And it's Ivania. She's like, hey. I'm like, hey, I'm about to go live, and I don't have a guest. I don't have a co-host. Like, oh, do you need somebody? It's like, I would really love it. And I know that this podcast is not the easiest thing for you to do. So I can't put into words how much I appreciate you being on here.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Not you. I mean, I appreciate having you here, but Ivania, I know this is not the easiest thing for you to do, and I can't put into words exactly how much it means to me that you just jumped right in. Like, you jumped in as the disclaimer was playing.
Well, I was just calling to tell you something, but you sounded a little panicked. So
Panicked? I was in the dumpster at that point. But just give people an idea. I mean, our listenership's not, we're not huge. We're not, but we are growing. Let me show you, just give you an idea here. I mean, I'm getting that last year's numbers really fast. So it only goes back a year. So last year, we had 134 listens for the entire month of November. I can't go back into October. Last 30 days, we had 190.
Wow.
nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's, 56 more than the time before. I mean, that's actually maybe closer to a 50% gain.
That reminds me. Actually, we have another friend that runs a podcast, and we've talked to him about you, and he would be interested in doing like a piggyback with you.
Crossover.
Yeah, piggyback, crossover, whatever.
I love doing that. We did that with Orange Lounge Radio, and I want to do that again. I liked it. It's fun.
Yeah.
What's?
Do you want to know what I was calling to tell you?
Sure.
So in 2016, I went to one of those eye centers to see about getting eye surgery, like LASIK or PRK or whatever.
Yep.
And I was told I could not. Didn't qualify for LASIK because my prescription is too strong. And I couldn't get PRK because my eye is shaped funny. Okay. So I was pretty much just destined to have these horrible Coke bottle glasses for the rest of my life. So I went to the eye doctor about a month ago, and they're like, we can't, I don't know why, but we can't get your vision to 2020. Think you may have done some damage to your corneas with your contacts. You need to go see a cornea specialist.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, yay. So I went and saw the cornea specialist today. He said that he could see that, you know, I'd misused the contacts, but I didn't do any permanent damage. My eyes are healthy. But I have early onset cataracts in both eyes. Which is excellent news.
Wait, how?
Because now I qualify for a procedure where they will go in, remove the cataracts, and insert new lenses into my eyeballs, which will drastically reduce or eliminate my need for glasses and contacts.
That's amazing.
So basically, like layman's terms, they're inserting a permanent contact lens into my eyeball.
Okay, so now there's a new contact lens that's out there now. It's a permanent lens that can zoom your vision telescopically 3 times. Get one of those.
I don't know if I can afford that one, but I'm very excited because come Halloween time, I can change my eye colors.
Nice.
This is my goal in life, is to wear like violet contacts.
You said violet, not violent.
Well, that too. Did I tell you what we're going to be for Halloween next year?
No.
Tell him, baby.
I'm going as JFK with a gunshot wound in my back of my head, and then she's going to have Jackie Onassis with blood in her lap.
That's messed up!
What, is it too soon?
No, it's definitely not too soon. That's just messed up. All right, so you know what? Because I started touching on it, I want to go ahead and just let people know. In the last year, here's where we've been listened to and how things rank. The United States is number 1, obviously. We've had over 2,000 listens in the last year. Spain is number 2. And they came out of nowhere in just like the last month. The Andalusian region... Yeah, the Andalusian region of Spain is where we're most popular, which is the south of Spain, right with the Rock of Gibraltar and all that.
No kidding.
India is number 3, New Zealand's number 4, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, Vietnam, Germany, Denmark, Russia, Sweden, Pakistan, Israel, Finland, France, Ghana, United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Philippines, Kenya, Turkey, and 14 others that they've not didn't list.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we're international. And it's kind of funny that some of them was like, who in Kenya is listening to us? Well, they only listened to 2 episodes. But still.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
There's people all over that are checking us out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of checking out, how are your comment section looking?
Bo was the only one and he left.
Oh, sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're wrapping up the season, and then we're moving to Saturdays next season. So yeah, just so everybody's aware, we're going to Saturdays, and we're starting an hour earlier. We're going to be doing 5 p.m. as the start time. That way, it's only 8 East Coast time. Still kind of late, but I mean, it's a Saturday at 8. It's not too bad.
Yeah. So 6 o'clock our time.
Yeah. And honestly, it'll be a lot easier to get more guests then. We did a poll, and that was where people said, hey, Saturdays work best. And of course, my wife is like, but what if we were going to take a trip? I'm like, well, all I need is a laptop. Or I can... also, when we're on Saturdays, Os no longer has a conflict with his schedule with his work, so he can be dedicated to that, him and Sarah. And I could just go ahead and, like, here's Spreaker Studio. Here are the files I use for my audio stuff. Here's the passwords. I'm going to take a trip, you run it. Which will be really nice.
Okay, I love you very much. I'm going to let you boys have a boys' party. I'm going to go play with my grandkids.
You do that. I'd love to go play with my grandkids.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, interesting thing. So California is our number 1 state with 883 listens. Delaware's number 2 with 328. I don't even know anyone in Delaware. Then Texas, Indiana, Arkansas, Oregon, Washington, Missouri, Maine, New York, North Carolina, Illinois, Michigan, Colorado, Idaho, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Nebraska, Virginia, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Massachusetts, Ohio, Maryland, New Jersey, Arizona, Louisiana, South Carolina, Minnesota, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Nevada, Connecticut, Utah, New Mexico, Kentucky, District of Columbia, Wyoming, and then 6 others.
Wow.
The only states that have not listened to us are Hawaii in the last years: Hawaii, Alaska, Montana, North and South Dakota. That looks like Mississippi and Alabama, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Rhode Island. Ha, I know my geography. Because I can highlight all the states around that have listeners that tells me what state it is, but the ones that are gray, they don't tell you.
Yeah. Oh, I always had a reason to go do a trip to Europe, a trip to Munich actually.
Really?
Yeah, for a football game because obviously you know I'm a big Bucks fan, and we actually have the Munich game against the Seahawks. I was looking up airfare; it was $1,200 just for the airfare one way, or round trip per person.
That's expensive.
Yeah, and of course that was like direct flight too.
But that means, oh man, direct flight. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean,
I actually feel bad for Bucks fans right now watching Tom Brady, Brett Favre's career. It's painful.
It's really hard to watch, especially with all the divorce and all that crap that's going through. What he's going through, and I mean, we had after our loss against Green Bay, we had the easiest remaining schedule. Pittsburgh should have been a walk in the park, like varsity against Cooley game. Yeah. That should have been a blowout. There's no way Pittsburgh should have beaten us. We barely beat the Falcons. Panthers beat us. Steelers beat us. Ravens beat us.
And I mean, and the Panthers, they're in the middle of their fire sale too. So
yeah, and Atlanta is in.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing: when you go against even a division rival, no matter how bad they are, they're a division rival, and all bets are off. I still remember the year that the Cowboys went and only lost one game all season. They lost it to the then Washington Redskins in Dallas, and that was basically the Redskins' only win that year. They only won 3 games that year, and that was one of them. Again, it doesn't matter how bad a team is and how good a team is when it comes to division rivals. There's something different. Which is why the Rams cannot beat the 49ers during the regular season. They can't. They've lost 9 in a row in the regular season against the 49ers. And the 49ers are struggling this year.
Yeah, we had the Rams this weekend. And then we have our Germany game the week after that.
Yeah, and first we're going to talk football. How those Falcons, man, not the Falcons, the Seahawks. Holy crap! Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll. I have to give him respect where respect is due. I don't really like him very much because I don't like the Seahawks because they're a division rival of my team.
Yeah.
But he takes no-name young players and he turns them into stars.
That's what Belichick used to do too.
Yeah,
it was next man up. Nobody heard of fucking the running back White until the Super Bowl, and so
Matt Castle.
Yeah,
Matt Castle.
Have you seen how we watch football here?
No. Is it all screaming? Nice. Yeah, we have a projector now too. Now, I only watch one game a week. My dad, he watched every game all the time. And as a kid, all I wanted to do was spend some time with my dad. And I didn't really want to spend that in front of the TV when the weather was nice. And football season starts when the weather is nice.
Yeah.
Now, again, I grew up in an area that was snow country. So come November, December, I don't really want to go outside and hang out with my dad outside anymore. That's fine to watch the games then. But it's just so much of my childhood was just taken up waiting on my dad, waiting for halftime.
Man.
And then I get, half an hour at most. 15 minutes, half hour around there. Yeah, no, I did not like that very much. So I made a point that when I have kids and I moved out, I would only watch one game a week. I would watch my team's game, and that's it. And
Yeah.
on a bye week, I don't watch. However, playoffs, I watch all the games because it's
hell
the
yeah,
playoffs.
hell yeah.
So those are the best games of the
Yeah.
year. And it's only, playoffs, it's what, 3 rounds, and then you have a week off, and then you have the Super Bowl. So it's a month at most. It's not 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, because I have my own fantasy league. I'm actually I'm the commissioner, so of course I'm a huge football fan. Like, even though I have no real interest in this game, I'm just really hoping that Philly loses their first game because they're undefeated, and they're going against like a 1-5 team, and they're actually tied up right now at 14.
And I've been saying since the beginning that the Philly schedule is a result of their record. Because the Eagles, sure, they're undefeated. You know what? There is something to be said about being undefeated this late in the season. But there's also something to be said about having a schedule that's softer than a down feather pillow.
Yeah.
Their schedule is weak.
Out of nowhere, the NFC East is like the power division, and everybody in my division in the South is absolute garbage.
I don't really but they keep saying that the NFC East is the power division, but every time they go against the NFC West team, they get stomped.
Yeah.
The NFC East is not a great division. It's better than they thought, but it's still not a good division. You want a tough division? Try AFC East. Oh, my God.
Seeing fucking Patty Mahomes twice? Jesus. Well, I mean, that's how fucking Arlie feels. She's a Raiders fan.
No, that's AFC West. You have Pat Mahomes twice. At AFC East, you have Josh Allen twice.
Oh, yeah, East.
Whew.
Yeah.
Both of those divisions, man. I don't envy them. And right now, I know we're totally off topic, and that's fine. If everyone wants to turn off now, go ahead. We're doing football talk now. The Dolphins.
Yeah, it's really just me and you.
Yeah, Tagliaviola, he's the real deal. You put good weapons around him, the dude can ball out.
Dude, he went up a couple weeks ago. He got like 80 points on fucking fantasy.
Yeah, he's the real deal. That team is legit. They decided to go all in on him instead of... come on, you draft a young quarterback, and then you keep taking weapons away and then start doubting the quarterbacks. Like, come on, give him weapons. Let him try to cook. See if he's actually worth his pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would say safely he's a franchise quarterback for them.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is he's like, what's his face in Phoenix? The little dude. He's a small dude. That's the problem.
Yeah, Murray.
Kyler Murray. They're small guys. They can't take hits. We saw that. When we saw that the Dolphins coaching staff and medical staff are garbage because they almost killed the dude. That impact was secondary impact syndrome if I've ever seen it. And that's a 90% fatality rate. That guy is lucky to be alive, and even more lucky he's able to play. And he's balling out again. But that team, they're small, they're fast, and they're spread out. That does not translate.
Tyreek.
Right.
Tyreek was, honestly, as a football fan, that was a huge fucking pickup for them.
They now have the fastest 2 wide receivers in NFL history. They have the fastest outside receivers ever. But here's the problem. This doesn't translate well for cold weather. It never, ever does. Their season is over. They just haven't realized it yet. Yeah. They're small, they're fast, and that's vulnerable in the cold. You get hurt when you're small in the cold.
Yeah,
you get pushed around in the cold. You go to air out a ball in 25, 30 mile an hour wind, good luck.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good luck.
Yeah, that ball's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and they're in the division where they have the Jets. Well, that's a northern team that gets snow. They have New England.
They've been doing actually pretty well, too. The Jets?
Surprisingly well. And that's like, look at the rest of the AFC East. The only warm weather team is the Dolphins. The Jets, they're cold weather. New England, they're cold weather. Buffalo, they're Arctic. And seriously, good luck throwing the ball in Gillette Stadium. Good luck. In December. Good luck.
Yeah, no
it ain't happening. Even Tom Brady didn't throw the ball that much in December. In January and February. You just don't. You don't.
Yeah.
Whereas my team, we got Christian McCaffrey now. And man, was that a
Ooh,
kicker.
yeah.
Did you see what he did last week?
No, what'd he do?
He is now one of 3 players in NFL history to throw a touchdown, receive a touchdown, and run a touchdown.
Yeah, threw, pass, and run, yeah.
Oh, threw, caught, and ran. He's one of 3 in history. LaDainian Tomlinson, and I think it was Herschel Walker, the only other 2.
Yep. You know, he actually played her son in high school.
Nice.
Yeah, freaking CMC gave her son a concussion. He ran him over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anytime he's on TV and we're watching a game and he's on TV, he's like, "Fuck CMC."
No, I can believe that. Dude's a beast.
Yeah. Still doing his thing, man.
Do you happen to remember the player Jason Sehorn from the 90s,
I do.
2000s?
Giants.
I went to high school with him.
No shit.
Yeah. His senior year of high school was the year he decided to try this football thing. And he was a walk-on as a wide receiver. And our quarterback suddenly started setting state records for passing, and everyone kept asking the quarterback, what's your secret? How'd you get so good? He's like, it's no secret. I throw the ball towards Jason. He'll catch it every time. Mm-hmm. No one can outrun him. No one can outjump him. No one can outmuscle him. He was a basketball player beforehand.
Jesus. Yeah, he's a big dude.
He is. And then after that, he went to Shasta College for a year. And at Shasta College, his coach told him, you know what? You could probably make it in the NFL as a backup wide receiver. He's like, but you're smart. You're shifty. You are quick. Not only are you fast, but you're quick. You would be a starting cornerback in the NFL. So he swapped the quarterback. Next year, he went from JUCO to USC, and the rest is history.
Wow.
And he is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh, I bet. No, I've actually met Mike Allstott twice. Super down to earth. You know, the first time I met him was at
dude. That dude was a nightmare.
Oh my god! Allstott up the gut.
Yeah, Allstott up the gut is kind of like Tom Rathman up the gut. Everyone, you're gonna get hurt.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I met him at the St. Petersburg F1 Grand Prix, and he was just by himself. He was walking up to people in the stand, just like talking about everything. Not just football, talking about just literally everything. And yeah, he just like really down there, super friendly, and yeah, it was just cool guy.
I got to meet Drew Brees.
No shit.
Super down to earth, cool guy. We were leaving San Diego the same day.
Wow.
Because remember, he was drafted by the Chargers, and then he got traded.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that he was in front of me in line at Enterprise. He was dropping off a vehicle. I was picking up my truck, and I saw the birthmark. Now, I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
I did not expect to be taller than an NFL quarterback. So it kind of threw me that I was a little bit taller than him, because I think he's 6 feet or 5'11" or something like that. Yeah, for a quarterback, he's short. For an adult male, he's tall. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw him like, Mr. Breeze, and he just turned around, stuck out his hand, and said, "Call me Drew." I took his hand. I was, you know what, Drew? Like, I came to San Diego as a 49er fan, and I laughed at the Chargers. They drafted the year I came to San Diego. Was the year they drafted Ryan Leaf. So,
oh my god!
Yeah, and I was like, but I will say that you, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Junior Seau have turned me around, and I'm now a Chargers fan as well. But I'm more of a Drew Brees fan, and I hope that when you go to New Orleans, that you get that ring first. And he's like, "Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But I mean, it's all business, and the Chargers are still a class organization. And thank you for being a fan." I mean, talk about a class act. He had every right to be like, "Fuck the Chargers.
Fuck you."
Thank you for being a fan. Fuck the Chargers. I'm getting that ring first, and he did.
Yeah. Yeah, one person that I was actually really surprised that was super friendly was Donovan McNabb.
Oh, I've heard great stories about him.
Yeah. Because I remember when the Super Bowl was in Tampa, I forget who was actually playing. I was actually my first year in college, and I was working at a hotel that just did working at the West End, and it just did like the grand opening. They did like a soft opening. They were trying to really push the opening right before Super Bowl. So it was MC Hammer, the dude from Unique Whips, Warwick Dunn, Donovan McNabb, Wanda Sykes. MC Hammer was a fucking asshole.
I've heard that
He
a
kept on
lot.
trying to get VIP seating. Like, yeah, you gotta have to fucking wait. I mean, you're not the only important person here.
And
So I mean,
you were a VIP back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Now,
Now you're just washed up.
one guy I did get to meet as well, because he was the quarterback for the Sacramento Mountain Lions back when that league existed. Dante Culpepper.
No shit. He went to high school in the same town as me.
No shit. You know what's funny?
Yeah, we're from the same.
And you know what's
Yeah,
funny?
my freshman year was his senior year.
And what's-
I met him one time at a weightlifting meet
He's a good guy.
until he got busted with that fucking prostitute ring.
Well, yeah. But I mean, personality-wise, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
I actually got to also meet one of his cousins. That dude was amazing. Just happened to have the last name Culpepper. Like another name, the guy that I worked with for a little bit on a contract. Let's see if you recognize the last name, Zendejas.
Yeah. He played for Dallas, I want to say, right?
No, he was the kicker for the Oilers.
Oh,
State. Right state. Yeah, Tony Zendejas.
Yeah.
Stud kicker. Got to meet his cousin. Douche. And it turns out that Tony he's an all right guy. Not the greatest.
Yeah.
A little attitude, a little chippy. But I'm like, dude, you were a great kicker. You were a kicker. It's like, you know who has the right to go ahead and brag and be about being a great kicker? Morton Anderson. That dude can go ahead and have attitude.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I've always loved Pat McAfee because I always loved his attitude. Like he does that golf swing when he gets a really good punt.
Yeah.
And that fucking tackle. The tackle he had against was against the Broncos. I think it was Sanders. No, it was a normal fucking kickoff, and McCaffrey's kind of a big guy, and Sanders isn't. So fucking just McCaffrey just laid his shoulder to him and laid him out.
Yep. That's still on the highlights. That's like one of the greatest greatest save tackles of all time. It's up there.
Oh hell yeah, by far. Did you ever hear the story about when they were playing?
Before, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and end the podcast. We could just keep talking, but I want to go ahead and just end the podcast. This is
Yeah, go ahead.
So next week I do have the guest confirmed. It's a single mother of 3. One of her kids is on the spectrum. She has her own company that she's running, and she's dealing with a brain tumor while doing all of this.
Oh my god!
And this lady is just killing it. She's slaying it, and it's been really tough. So yeah, you know what? I wanted to end the season on a good note of, not letting life beat them down, and this is I think a fantastic way to end the season.
Oh hell yeah! Great, sounds like a great story.
Yeah, so definitely come back next week. It will be our season finale. Then we're taking the rest of November off. We'll be back on the first Saturday of December. And yes, Saturdays, 5 p.m. If you don't have it in your phone scheduled now, that, when we come on live, do that now. But, set one for Saturdays because, yeah. Or just put it in your calendar as a weekly so that way you know. But, until next week, I'm E. And, I'm alone tonight, except for Scott. And we're going to keep talking football while you guys are, enjoying the rest of your evening. Good night. Inside.